Good morning, everyone. Happy Tuesday. I'm the Gray Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Tuesday, June 27th, 2023. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? May I please have the first 5 cards in our 5-card spread? First card that we are starting our day off with today is... We like seeing this card. We got it just a few days ago in our daily card of the day. We have here our 7 of Pentacles. So today is a day of putting in a lot of work around the situations and circumstances that you are seeing the most growth potential on. A lot of concentration right now on a lot of the things in your material space as you work to build and grow at this time. The next card we have coming through in our 5-card spread for today is... the 3 of Pentacles. Now, in its reversal, this is very interesting energy because what we're really identifying here right now is while you are putting a lot of investment in those situations and circumstances that you see require this degree of care and consideration at this time, there's also a lot of work that you're putting in right now in restructuring, rebuilding foundations, a lot of concentration, not just in where you're trying to put this effort and energy, but what needs to effectively be dismantled or re-looked at, reconsidered, because of the fact that it is lacking that foundation. So a lot of orientation right now being focused towards those situations and circumstances that potentially might need some reconsideration points to build stronger foundations as you proceed forward from this time. A lot of concentration right now in the tangibles for today, a lot of work in these areas. The next card we have coming through right now in our 5-card spread is... we like seeing this card in its reversal. You guys know what I say when I see our 7 of Swords here. This is going to speak specifically towards a degree and desire not to go back to situations or circumstances that have caused you any pain or difficulty. This is speaking a lot towards a lot of that Hangman in its reversal that we saw just a few days ago. Last week, we got the Hangman in its reversal, not once, but twice. There is a deep commitment we are seeing for both feminine and masculine energy right now, bearing in mind that this is not based on gender, but what you feel most aligned to have these points of readjustment, to have these points of recognizing spaces or places that are causing too much discomfort for you at this moment. What we've been identifying is for both energies, this is either a moment that you are rebuilding, making adjustments for points of easement as you proceed forward from this point, versus whether or not you want to stay in those circumstances entirely. For half of the collective right now, as we've been identifying, this is a moment of readjustment. It could be feeling like there are some points of difficulty that you're currently experiencing at this time. But we are seeing here that the reason that you're putting this work in right now of readjustment is with a lot of considered care and effort not to go back to situations that have caused difficulty and pain. There's a lot of consideration on these points right now as you try to grow forward in ways that are going to be more productive and positive from this point going forward. For the other half of the collective, this, as we've been seeing, is a separation point, moving away from circumstances or situations that you are identifying do not have that strong foundation, with a commitment not to go back to situations or circumstances that have caused too much pain and difficulty, and putting your orientation back into those spaces and places in your own life that you recognize are allowing you this possibility and potential for long-term growth and productivity. The next card we have coming through right now in our 5-card spread for today is... we've got here our 10 of Swords in its reversal, and we also like to see this card in its reversal because this is further confirmation on this beautiful 7 of Swords and its reversal energy that we're seeing here. This is feeling like a moment of rebirth for both feminine and masculine energy. This is that readjustment point, this coming back up, if you will. This for half of the collective right now. This is doing a lot of the tangible work and effort right now to readjust, to build these new, stronger foundations. And it is requiring a bit of dismantling at this time in order to go forward from this point with this new start. But we see that for half of the collective, this is a moment that you are putting this work in with a concentration and orientation to the fact that though these circumstances and situations may need or require a bit of realignment, that you are still seeing that long-term growth potential in these circumstances and situations, which is empowering you to do this work to allow for this restart to occur. While for the other half of the energy, this is a moment that you are potentially departing from circumstances or situations that you are identifying do not have or lack the ability to create this strong, stable foundation going forward with that same orientation towards long-term growth, long-term capabilities, productivity, simply because you're giving yourself a commitment right now not to go back to situations and circumstances that have caused too much pain or disparity at this time. And this is that restart that you're providing yourself and at this moment. The final card right now for our first 5, before we start to get more clarification on these cards today, is this is a bit of a difficulty point that we're seeing right now with this 7 of Cups, because for both the energy that we are seeing that you are trying to build these new foundations for right now and the energy of separation, we are seeing the fact that there is something here about making sure that you are in alignment to that long-term goal and that long-term higher aspiration that you're trying to achieve right now. We're seeing here with this 7 of Pentacles that you are committed to where you want to head right now. You have a lot of focus and determination and drive to put in the effort, but something about these circumstances or situations are creating a bit of confusion that may be coming through right now as it relates to what it is that you truly want and aspire to at this moment. For those that are in union, this could be working right now to identify and make sure that you are unified right now in the approach of the energy around you right now, to make sure that you are both aligned in terms of what you're trying to move into right now. With some feelings of confusion, working right now on this potential. This is a strong sign today that if you are feeling any of this, that this is a moment of pause, of consideration, of meditation, to really focus on what that higher purpose is for yourself at this moment, so that when you build into this new foundation that you're trying to set for yourself at this moment, you build it in the proper place and with the proper intentions. For half of the collective right now, this is either working right now with energy that is similarly committed to this path ahead, but also needing, even in union right now, to try to seek some clarity as to what that path looking forward is, to make sure that you are in alignment at this moment. While for the other half of the collective right now, this is a new start energy that we're really seeing, that you are committed right now to the path that you're setting for yourself at this time, with an orientation towards wanting to be able to build towards things that you truly see are going to create the longest lasting value for you at this time. This is requiring you to potentially move away from circumstances and situations that you're not identifying this strong foundation in, with a commitment not to go back to them if they are causing you any pain. This is allowing a bit of this restart, but there is some confusion even at this moment as to what you yourself are potentially truly seeking at this moment. A lot of this is calling for you to kind of pause, take that time, take that consideration, make sure that you are moving with intentionality towards what it is that is your highest purpose, what that higher calling is, to make sure that you're not necessarily going to start to get back into a cycle of potentially moving right now into things that look good on the exterior, but do not have this potential for long-term growth and ability to grow moving forward from this point. Now, let's start to get some clarification on the cards that we are seeing right now. Clarification between our 7 of Pentacles in combination with our 3 of Pentacles in its reversal. So, working right now towards those situations and circumstances that you see the most possibility for long-term growth in at this moment, but also with a lot of concentration on rebuilding foundations around you at this time. Requiring something about this work is requiring a bit of going back to the drawing board, if you will, to make sure that they have this capacity of growth potential at this time. While for others right now, this is potentially shedding any circumstances or situations that you are not seeing this long-term growth potential in, recognizing that they lack the foundation for you to put the energy and effort in at this time. Combination of these cards right now, clarification coming through in Hermit card in its reversal. So this is also speaking a lot towards some of that 7 of Cups energy that we're seeing here. There is this moment of personal anxiety that you're feeling, really feeling a bit of frustration in moments of solitude that needs to be worked through right now. This is a feeling right now, and it's going to feel a little bit different depending on where you fall in this collective right now. There is something right now about, again, this desire and capacity to make sure that you're working with union energy that is recognizing this ability to go into these spaces and places of long-term growth potential. There is an understanding to a certain extent that we are identifying here that you recognize the fact that some of this work cannot be done entirely in solitude, that it is requiring a point right now of partnership, of collaboration. And some of you are potentially feeling some of that frustration right now. You are working right now to try to get the illumination. You're trying to get that insight around you to really determine if these pathways have that long-term growth potential. And for some of you right now, this is working with outside energy, trying to get this point of clarification, feeling some of that frustration in being able to see this at this time, but working very tangibly on getting better clarity moving forward so that you can rebuild these foundations for that long-term growth potential. For the other half of the collective right now, this could potentially be feeling like a lot more of a point of frustration, because while we see that you are trying to do this work in a point of personal solitude, working through some of that personal insight in order to receive that direction for yourself at this moment, we are seeing some difficulties in doing so, a feeling of a lack of optics. But we are seeing that you are also very much committed right now to coming into a point of finding that clarity in solitude. This could also be identified right now as some feelings of frustration in finding those moments of higher insight in solitude. Having those moments right now just sometimes can feel like a little bit of crawling out of your skin energy, especially when we see that Hermit in its reversal. This is that moment, if you are feeling this at this time, to really kind of focus on meditation, focus on finding that path of easement in sitting with your own energy, to make sure that you are moving right now from a point of intentionality and not just moving helter-skelter towards whatever is near you at this moment. For both energies right now, a lot of consideration and orientation though in building these strong foundations, and it is requiring a point of isolation and self-discovery to do so, but this could be feeling a little problematic right now. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Three of Pentacles in its reversal in combination with our Seven of Swords in its reversal. So this is a lot of that readjustment energy that we have been seeing in the cards over the last few days. This is a lot of that clarification to some of that Hangman in its reversal that we received not once but twice over the last few days. This commitment right now not to go back to situations or circumstances that have caused too much or too much degree of difficulty and pain at this moment. For half of the collective, this is working in union with the energy around you right now to rebuild the foundations. Go back to the drawing board, if you will, to help these foundations create a point of easement as you proceed forward from this time. For the other half of the collective right now, this is a commitment not to go back to spaces or places that you recognize do not have this foundation and lack the ability to create this foundation, committing yourself not to go back to circumstances and situations that are only causing more pain for you at this moment. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with, we love seeing this Queen in her upright. We've got here our Queen of Wands. We've been seeing a lot of very empowering feminine cards coming onto the table the last few days. For feminine energy right now, there is a moment that is requiring you to set healthy boundaries. But what we like about this is these are boundaries that are being set all with the goal and aspiration of looking at situations and circumstances from the past that have caused you difficulty, that have caused you pain. There is a point right now of rebuilding, of readjustment. For some of you in working in union right now, this is requiring a new foundation to potentially be built in any of those partnerships and unions that you're working through right now. With that orientation to that Two of Cups energy that we received as a card of the day just a day ago. While for the other half of the collective right now, this is you effectively for the feminine energy working on setting healthy boundaries to yourself, aligning and committing to these boundaries with a commitment of not going back to circumstances and situations that show no capacity or ability to create or maintain a strong foundation, and reminding yourself not to go back to them because they're only causing you further degrees of difficulty and pain at this time. While for masculine energy right now, there is a very similar approach, but is going to feel a little bit different. Bearing in mind that this is not based on gender, but what you feel most aligned to. For masculine energy right now, what we're really seeing is, again, if you are working in union with this energy right now, you are working right now with a feminine energy that you recognize has this capacity and degree of setting healthy, strong boundaries and working in strategy with that energy right now to approach and to rebuild any foundations that you feel are somewhat shaken or require readjustment, with a mutual commitment not to go back to circumstances and experiences that have caused you both mutual pain. You are experiencing here the fact that this energy is in a space where they are able to work with you in this fashion, to look at things strategically, and that is what's giving you this degree and capacity to feel like you can rebuild the foundations with this energy. For the other half of the masculine collective right now, this could be a moment that you are feeling some degree or difficulty around some foundations that are requiring a point of readjustment. You are looking right now and working right now to try to not go back to circumstances and situations that have caused pain or difficulty, but you may be feeling like this is more of a challenging energy that you are experiencing, because while you may be trying to reestablish this energy can sometimes feel a bit more of a blockage. We saw this a lot today with that Empress card in its reversal that some of the masculine energy is experiencing right now, because depending on whether you are working in collaboration with this energy or not, for some of you right now, this is working with a strategic partner with the feminine that's helping rebuild these foundations. For the other half, this could feel more like a bit of a battle. It could feel more adversarial for the masculine energy, because you could be recognizing this or feeling like this is blocking you to a certain degree in order to be able to do this for yourself in this moment. So for both masculine and feminine, this can feel very different depending on where you're falling on this reading. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Seven of Wands, Swords in its reversal, in combination with our Ten of Swords in its reversal. Very powerful energy that we are seeing here right now. This is the energy of a new start, a new life, a second life, if you will, rebuilding something, coming back into your own. For both masculine and feminine, depending on where you fall in this, it doesn't matter, because the commitment right now, the mass commitment, is not allowing situations or circumstances that have caused too much pain to continue. Allowing this for half of the energy right now. This is a rebirth moment, allowing something to come back in a way that you recognize that you have this commitment to making adjustments going forward from this time. For the other half of the collective right now, this is a personal rebirth moment that you are experiencing, with a personal commitment to yourself at this time, not to go back to situations or circumstances that are causing any degree of too much degree of difficulty for you in this moment. May I please have one card to clarify? Just bear with me one moment. Clarification coming through right now, with two cards coming out to clarify. Oh my goodness, we've been seeing these cards as well. We've got here our Ace of Wands in its reversal in combination with our Page of Cups. This is going to feel very different depending on whether you align to feminine or masculine energy right now. Bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. We saw this Page of Cups coming through with the masculine energy yesterday as well. There is something here that feels like a bit of returning to the self right now for the masculine energy, moving in a way right now of keeping one's own personal interests invested as you proceed forward. For masculine energy right now, there is a bit of back and forth that we're seeing here. This could be feeling like more of a personal struggle that you're currently experiencing right now, masculine. Because while we see that there is something here about wanting to put this effort in, wanting to put this degree of commitment into, there's also a sense of play heavily in the air for the masculine right now. Kind of moving back into a bit of a more carefree energy, if you will. And this could sometimes feel like it's a little bit counter to what you're actually trying to move through right now. This could be feeling kind of that back and forth energy right now for masculine, where you're again trying to struggle with what you're trying to really achieve in this moment, but also trying to also balance that with your sense of personal play and enjoyment. That could be feeling like a bit of a struggle point, because that's where we're seeing the masculine energy trying to allow this moment right now of coming into this point of rebirth with a focus on what you're trying to create at this moment, with a degree and desire of committing to yourself not to go back to spaces and places that have caused caused you too much difficulty or pain. But also feeling a little bit of this back and forth energy about wanting to have a bit of a reprieve, allowing yourself this sense of play, even as you're having this point of commitment going forward. While for feminine energy right now, this is still a lot of that judgment energy that we were seeing on the masculine yesterday leading into today. Because again, for the feminine energy right now, we are recognizing that there is a degree and a capacity, thank you so much for the gift, of wanting this to be a point of rebirth, allowing for some of these changes to come through with a commitment not to go back to circumstances and situations that have caused too much degree or difficulty, potentially either working in collaboration with masculine energy to make this be a point of adjustment, or potentially walking away from any circumstances or situations that you feel are causing too much pain and difficulty at this moment. For feminine energy, feminine is working right now on a sense of really wanting to channel a lot of that creative energy that they're feeling right now into the tangible space. And there could be a bit of looking right now at the masculine energy with a point of judgment. Because while the feminine energy is very committed to getting these things done, to working as effectively as possible, there could be looking right now at the masculine energy as someone who is moving a bit more from a place of their own gratification and self-interest at this time. So this could be feeling like a bit of a struggle point, both for feminine energy that is in union, or even for feminine energy that is judging the masculine energy around them, to really ascertain if that energy, being that it is playful, if it's really as committed to the cause, if you will, as feminine is at this moment. For both feminine in union and feminine not, this is a point of difficulty that they're currently experiencing as you move forward from this point. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now, between our 10 of Swords in its upright in combination with our 7 of Cups. So this is feeling like, again, a lot of rebirth energy here, but some confusion, some real confusion coming up in this moment of rebirth, almost like a disorientation moment at this point of rebirth that you're experiencing right now, both for energy that it is in union and for energy that is not. For those that are in union, there is a recognition of something that is coming into a new start. There's something here that is coming back to the surface that had to be kind of eliminated or changed to a certain degree to allow for this new possibility or potential to occur. But it's almost raising more questions than answers, even as these changes occur. That's why we see some of this unfoundational 3 of Pentacles here. There's a new foundation being laid, and in the midst of that new foundation, there are a lot of questions that need to be answered. There's a lot of insight that needs to be reached, hence us seeing a lot of this Hermit in its reversal right now. There are questions that don't necessarily have all the clarity or answers that you may be ideally aspiring for at this moment. For the masculine and feminine energy that's in union right now, there's a lot of exploration in right now, trying to make sure that you guys are on the same page as you proceed forward from this point. For the other energy that is using this as a breaking off point, this is a moment that you yourself are experiencing about a bit of this rebirth, but you're also feeling some confusion about where it actually places you and what your options are at this moment. What is actually true and what is not. That is requiring a bit of self-reflection. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Knight of Cups in its reversal. This card should look a little familiar because we've been pulling this baby in its reversal for weeks. So this is going to feel a little bit different depending on whether you align to feminine or masculine energy right now. Again, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. Masculine energy, we've been seeing this difficulty in expressing your own emotions coming into play over and over again right now. For the masculine energy, we saw something very interesting happening in the cards over the last few days, because while we have been identifying the fact that there has been a balancing in the masculine energy right now of your own emotional center, the communication and articulation of that is the challenge point. There's something that is difficult here about the masculine energy being able to come forward with these emotional offers right now. Anxieties and fears coming up to the surface for both masculine energy in union right now and for masculine energy out of union. For masculine energy right now, we are seeing that you are recognizing that this is a very interesting time. There's something that is coming to life here, and it's causing a lot of potential confusion, even in partnership at this moment. And for that reason, we see here the masculine energy is feeling some hesitancy in how and what they're trying to emotionally communicate. That is potentially requiring a bit more work in being able to sit in solitude and really understand what you are feeling. This could be feeling for the masculine energy right now like a lot of unknown or unrecognized new feelings rising to the surface right now for you masculine. And you are doing your best to try to understand what you're feeling because you potentially haven't felt it before. You've literally not felt it. You don't know how to articulate what you're feeling. You're trying to understand what you're feeling even at this moment of rebirth. And this is creating a bit of a blockage in your own ability to emotionally communicate it, both to yourself, but potentially to those around you right now. While for feminine energy right now, this is yourself experiencing a moment right now of, again, rebirth, both for energy that is in union, that is working on building new foundations with masculine energy at this type, or for feminines that are moving away from anything that is feeling like it is does not have that degree or capacity of building a foundation in this moment. And you find yourself at this moment of restart, at this moment of rebirth. And you yourself are experiencing a lot of the confusion and questions this rebirth energy is causing for you at this time. A lot of your direction right now is oriented towards a manifestation of masculine, trying to understand. Here's that judgment energy we've been seeing in the feminine recently, what the emotional intentions are of the masculine energy around you at this time. For both the feminines in union right now and the feminines that are not in union, there is a lot of attention being paid towards what the masculine energy is emotionally communicating. For half of the feminine energy right now, there are anxieties around the masculine energy that are around you, wanting to maintain and ascertain if they have and share that same degree of commitment as to what you're trying to grow and build for yourself going forward from this time. Thank you so much for the gift. And it is this optic right now, really trying to ascertain if the masculine energy has this degree of emotional connection with you at this time that is helping build clarification for you at this moment as it relates to your own personal vested interest, your own aspirations. You are using this as your dividing line, the same that we saw yesterday. Because we saw for the feminine energy not in union that there's a lot of energy about masculine expressing their passions, expressing their own like assertiveness. But for feminine, it's the connection to the emotionality right now that is really the most important thing at play. And feminine is utilizing this to guide their path forward at this moment. For the feminine energy right now that is working currently in union, there could be a recognition point that some of the difficulties that you're currently experiencing is creating some of this blockage for the masculine, and you're potentially helping to work with them through any of these emotional communication hurdles, even as you're going through some of this difficulty. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Hermit in its reversal and our Queen of Swords. This will feel a bit different depending on whether you align to feminine or masculine energy right now, bearing in mind it's not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. For feminine energy right now, there is a heavy sense. We're seeing this. This is why the Empress was in its reversal. That's why we're seeing cards like the High Priestess, the Star card right now, the Queen of Wands. These are heavy activator cards for the feminine energy, but it's requiring some really strong boundaries to be kept right now. Feminine is not moving. I'm going to say this real loud for the people in the back. Feminine is not allowing their heart space to dictate their actions right now. They are using their mental space. They're using their boundaries. They are employing a lot of that masculine activated energy right now as they proceed forward and set these boundaries for themselves. It's requiring them to be very strategic as they move forward from this point, because we see that there is some blockages in the heart space, because the heart space is basically being protected right now through a moment of emotion, of ground turn turmoil. There are turmoil moments happening in the physical space right now that is making the feminine energy kind of cautious to open up emotionally to the energies around them, both in union or in not in union at this time. For feminine energy right now, there's a lot of blocking that's happening. There's a lot of holding a line to a certain extent. But there's also this blockage is actually being done because there's a deeper issue right now for the feminine energy, feeling some point or degree of trying to come into a space where they can feel comfortable in their own skin. The Hermit card in its reversal is a moment of trying to overcome any hurdles for the feminine in terms of finding some peace and solitude at this moment. This is some frustrating energy right now that is currently being experienced by the feminine, but they're doing a lot of work right now to actively find that comfort in solitude. For half of the feminine energy right now, it is a moment right now of trying to come into alignment with that higher purpose right now. And you're being very protective even as you proceed from this moment, as you try to do this work for yourself at this time. For the masculine energy right now, this could be feeling like there are some feelings of frustration, finding some degree of frustration in being at a moment of solitude. For half of the masculine energy right now, you're potentially working right now in union with a very strategic feminine energy that's helping you overcome any of these anxieties and hurdles that you're feeling about finding comfort in solitude at this moment as you try to build this new foundation with this energy. While for the other half of the masculine collective right now, this could literally be feeling like you are at a point of personal crisis right now because there is a feminine that you are trying to get into contact with that you feel has too many walls up. Isn't letting you have access to them because they don't feel safe or comfortable in your presence right now. And it is creating a similar point of frustration or unrest for you as you try to work through any of the blockages that you're feeling with this energy. May I please have one card to clarify? Woo! Cards popping out of the deck. Clarification coming through right now with this Four of Swords in its reversal. There are some situations or circumstances from the past that are rising back up because they need to be addressed. They need to be addressed. They need to be handled. For feminine energy right now, the feminine energy is either working right now with a lot of memories from the past. Feminine energy is making a lot of decisions at this moment right now with a lot of orientation on either situations from the past that have harmed them, that they're using this degree of boundaries right now to protect themselves from. But it is creating some anxiety even as they do so right now, or tangibly, or feminine is literally tangibly dealing with some circumstance from the past that is continually rising back up to the surface that they need to have their effective guard up to a certain extent, that is making it kind of hard for them to orient on what they want or how they're proceeding forward from this point. Feminine energy is building effectively this wall around themselves to help them come back into comfort with their own sense of solitude and insight at this moment. This is how the feminine energy is working through some of this blockage, with a lot of orientation on the past rising up to meet them. But feminine is not allowing themselves to fall into an emotional space given these circumstances and situations. Rather, they're trying to look at them with a very critical eye. They're feeling that right now that there's a lot of orientation and trying to understand some of the circumstances and from the past better so that you can proceed forward from a much more positive, possibly optimistic perspective going forward. But it is requiring the feminine energy, both in and not in union right now, to have their guard up to a certain extent, to have a lot of this very cautious energy that's coming into the forefront right now to address any of the hurdles that they're currently experiencing. For masculine energy right now, again, this is some circumstances from the past rising to the surface right now, either on an internal level that you're working through internally, or you're working in collaboration with the feminine energy that you recognize you have to address some circumstances from the past that need to get into alignment. You are working right now to try to get some insight potentially from that feminine energy, but you are feeling like there is some blockages even as you proceed to do so. But we see that you're still continuing to do this work right now because you recognize this feminine energy is in a space where they can work in this strategic fashion for you to make some adjustments as you proceed forward from this time. For the other half of the masculine collective, This could be feeling like a moment of personal crisis, because what we're really identifying right now is there's some circumstances from the past that continually seem to rise up and haunt you, or creating some degree of difficulty or anxiety for you right now. These are either happening on the mental plane, on your own internal plane at this moment, or they are tangibly happening. Something from the past is rising up that needs to be addressed on a tangible level. For both situations, it is creating a bit of a blockage for the masculine energy. It is creating a point where you're not necessarily feeling the comfort of solitude right now, because instead of finding the comfort of solitude right now, you are feeling a lot of this past energy coming back into play that is making it hard to find peace. For half of the collective, you're working in collaboration with a very strong strategic feminine that can help you through these moments right now. For the other half, this is the cause of it. For the other half, there is a feminine energy that is attached to this, and it is creating a further blockage, because while you see that these situations or circumstances with the feminine seem to keep coming back towards you right now, you're feeling in some capacity and degree you can't necessarily work with that energy, because you recognize that something about it has created too much distance between you and this energy for them to be able to collaborate with you, that for good reason, they might have a bit of a wall up to you because of some of the distance and your own isolation due to these circumstances from the past. So more hairy energy for the masculine in this moment for some of the collective. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Queen of Swords in combination with the Ace of Wands, in combination with the Page of Cups. This is some crazy energy right here, my friends. This is some goofy. This is a bit goofy is what we're really seeing here. But let's walk through what we're seeing so we can get more clarification on what we're seeing right now. This is masculine and feminine in very different spaces. I just want to point this out. We've got a Queen of Swords here. We've got a Page of Cups. So for both masculine and feminine energy, there's a lot of orientation on what you're trying to create and what you're trying to grow at this moment. The problem could be in how these energies are seeing and experiencing how to be able to motivate and do this. For feminine energy, we're seeing that feminine is working right now from a place where they are being very strategic. They are working very carefully. There's a lot of careful choices and consideration that feminine is making going forward right now, trying to lay healthy boundaries to allow a lot of the goals for the feminine to be able to be effective in the way that they want, to move away from circumstances and situations that have caused too much pain in the past, with a lot of orientation on past experiences, guiding the feminine even as they proceed forward from a place of caution at this time. While for masculine energy, we're seeing that this is a moment that feels a lot more lighthearted. Masculine energy is almost regressing even at a moment that they're working on building some of this foundation. There's a lot of care around pleasure right now, masculine. There's a lot of attention in trying to feel potentially more like this is a moment of opportunity, of fun that's coming to the surface here as you're trying to navigate and move these things forward right now. This could clearly cause a little bit of disparity between the masculine and feminine energy at this moment, because you could just take one look at these two energies and recognize what different places they're viewing the same situation or circumstance on effectively. And that's what's creating a bit of the challenge right now in the communication and the activation of the energy, even as you try to either lay new foundations right now or proceed down new paths. May I please have one card to clarify? Two cards to clarify. Why not? Because it's confusing. Oh my goodness. We're seeing here Temperance coming through right now and the Page of Wands. So what is the solution to this circumstance or situation? Communication, 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 communication. The solution to this right now is, again, masculine and feminine energy right now are both moving with a lot of intentionality towards their goals. Feminine energy is being a lot more protective as it does so. Feminine energy is being a lot more critical as it does so. There's a lot of weighing of options for the feminine right now. While for masculine, there is a bit more of excitement around a lot of the pathways that you're going towards this time. A lot of this rebuilding seems more like, I feel like feminine right now is looking at it like she's trying to build an empire. Masculine's looking at it like he's got some blocks right now that you're trying to effectively build. And it seems more like a fun activity. There's a lot more carefreeness right now in the masculine energy, even as you're having a bit of this new start or rebirth coming into play. For both energies right now, there's a lot of communication coming into the forefront to make sure that you are both, regardless of how you're feeling about it, sharing the mutual goal as to what you're trying to build. That's the point of clarification. For the energy right now in union, for feminine, I think that there's even a recognition that you're okay with the masculine energy being in this kind of more carefree energy, potentially even helping you through your own degree of severity right now for those in union. While similarly for masculine, feeling like there's room right now if you're in union to be more carefree because you recognize that the feminine is working very carefully right now to make sure that there's space for you to almost feel like that. And so this is more of an appreciation collaboration for those that are in union. While for those that are not in union right now, this could be feeling like a lot of disparate energy around you right now, because while feminine is proceeding forward on new journeys with their guard up, with a lot of caution, masculine is looking at these new journeys as coming back into yourself, even potentially regressing, moving into more of a carefree mentality. The goal is not necessarily so much the attitude that you may be employing right now as you proceed forward from this, but more for masculine and feminine energy. It's about what's being communicated at this moment. Communication is the key right now in terms of identifying if these are the pathways that are going to lead to that long-term growth potential or pleasure for the masculine energy right now. Both masculine and feminine energy are employing their own degree of communication to try to decide sooner rather than later the best way to proceed going forward. Because there is a disparity right now in where the masculine and feminine energy is. But for the feminine energy right now, the goal is communicating to try to ascertain if the masculine energy, though they're coming through in a more carefree, pleasure-oriented focus, does still maintain that ability to grow long term. And whether they actually have true emotional consideration and care in this moment that's going to allow that to be able to occur. While for the masculine energy right now, this is potentially trying to communicate with the feminine that you recognize has some of these walls up to a certain degree. But this could be feeling like a bit more of a challenge, because what we're actually seeing happening is masculine is employing a bit more of this carefree mentality because of an emotional blockage. Because of your own anxieties expressing from an emotional point right now, you're kind of trying, to a certain extent, some of the masculine energy is kind of trying to stay more lighthearted because of their own anxieties and fears and expressing their own emotionality at this point. But for both feminine and masculine energy right now, regardless of whether you're in union or not, there is a movement right now in new communication and allowing this new communication to help adjust and correct for any of these imbalances, and feeling like you need to do that sooner rather than later. This is a point of rebuilding. This is a point of realignment, either new starts right now or working through difficulties through communication for those in union. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Page of Cups energy in combination with our Ace of Wands in its reversal, in combination with our Knight of Cups in its reversal. So this is going to feel extremely different depending on whether you align to feminine or masculine energy right now. For masculine energy right now, this is a moment, like I said, there is a bit more of a lighthearted energy that you're bringing into this situation or circumstance. For masculine energy that's either in union right now, or masculine energy that is using this as a clean slate, a restart for yourself, there is this moment of delight that's coming to the forefront right now. You're putting a lot of your care and energy into the amusement, the enjoyment of what you're trying to rebuild in this moment, with a lot of excitement as to what you're trying to create at this time, really employing a lot of this creative energy. And it's coming through right now in almost like a sense of childlike excitement for the masculine, even as you're going through this point of rebuilding. Potentially even with the feminine, you may recognize as being a little bit more cautious at this time. But the difficulty that's really arising for the masculine right now is that potentiality right now. Again, for half of the masculine energy, this is a moment of reorientation, potentially pulling your own emotional offers away to concentrate on your own personal pleasure at this moment. For the other half of the masculine collective right now, this is a moment that you may be feeling like you are in union with an energy. You are approaching it from a much more carefree mentality than they are, with a lot of degrees in what you're trying to create with them, because of your own anxiety about truly communicating how you emotionally feel. And for the masculine energy, to a certain extent, it's almost like that lack of ability to emotionally communicate is coming through right now more in a sense of lighthearted play, coming through more in like a childlike mentality, because there's an emotional blockage here that needs to be addressed even as you're trying to build. For feminine energy right now, oy vey, for feminine energy right now, this is a moment that you are trying to create something with masculine, but again, feminine energy is weighing and judging the masculine energy around it very carefully right now, because they can see, feminine energy can see the fact that the energy around them right now is in a space of excitement and delight, almost like childlike carefreeness as they proceed forward from this point. But feminine is weighing very heavily whether that same energy is able to emotionally connect at the same time. That is the critical point right now for feminine. Feminine is weighing the masculine energy around them right now to say, I know that I can have fun with you. I know that we can have points of pleasure. I know we can have points of enjoyment, but can you build an emotional connection with me? Do you have a degree of an emotional connection that you can maintain with me, or is this going to be a perpetual blockage? For half of the feminine collective right now, this is a walking away point. You're just walking away from energy that's not showing that degree or capacity of building an emotional connection, assuming that they're only in it for their own sense of personal gratification. For the other half of the feminine collective right now, this is you potentially trying to rebuild something with the masculine energy right now that is very oriented on the pleasure, the enjoyment of the experience that you're trying to rebuild right now, but also working with that energy and experiencing the fact that you recognize that there is a bit of a difficulty around them being able to communicate their own emotionality at this time that is causing you to be a little cautious, even as you proceed forward from this point. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now. We like this. We like seeing her. Thank you for the gift. We like this because this is the star card. Listen, I keep telling you guys, these are very isolating cards right here. These are very distant cards. The star is a very distant card. Now, feminine energy, like I said, feminine energy is working right now to identify this with the masculine energy, and this is what they're trying to identify with the masculine energy. This is overcoming some of that Empress energy and its reversal blockage that we saw in the card of the day. Feminine energy is committed in being able to be their most authentic expression of self at this moment. For the feminine energy right now that is working right now with a masculine energy that may be taking a bit more of a light-hearted degree or capacity in terms of what you're trying to rebuild at this moment, and working through any of their own emotional blockages at this time, you are committed and working with them on this path because you recognize that there's something around this energy that is accepting and open to you being your most authentic expression of self. This is what's giving you that moment of empowerment, even looking at the energy and being like, I don't know if you're taking this work the right way. I don't know if you're coming at it with the right direction, but you're allowing that space, if you will, to come through in the disparity in like how you're tackling it, specifically because you recognize that this energy is one that does allow and does see a space or place for you to be your most authentic, open, vulnerable expression of self. That is what's powering you forward, even through any of the emotional anxieties or challenges you may be experiencing right now. For the other half of the feminine energy right now, this is a feminine energy potentially holding themselves back at a bit of a distance from some of the masculine energy that's potentially approaching them as they allow this to be a restart for themselves, because you have committed on a path where you want to be your most authentic, vulnerable expression of self, and you are weighing the energy around you to see if you can do it with that energy, because what we're seeing here is feminine seeing a lot of masculine energy around them at this time that may seem very, very oriented in their own gratification, in their own delight, in their own earthly pleasure, but they are doing a lot of work to ascertain if that same energy is capable of truly building an emotional connection. Feminine's holding themselves at a bit of a distance as they try to determine that, because that is what feminine actually wants, even around the energy that is showing some degree or capacity of self-pleasure and enjoyment and building pleasurable moments with the feminine going forward. For the masculine energy right now, this is a moment that, again, For the masculine energy that is in union, this is why, I just need to point that out, for the masculine energy in union right now, this is why the masculine energy is taking on these childlike qualities. Because what we're really seeing here right now is you're discovering that there is a new foundation that you are building right now with a feminine energy. You are recognizing that that feminine energy is holding themselves at a bit more of a distance right now, but you're utilizing this moment because you're seeing something about this energy that you are experiencing and recognizing that they are giving you some access to their open, honest, authentic, vulnerable sense of self. And it is filling you with delight. It is filling you with a sense of enjoyment, of play, of happiness, because even though you're recognizing that you need to do some work in some capacity, there are some foundations that need to be set. There are some questions that need to be worked through. You are seeing here that this energy is accessible to you. And that's filling you with the delight, though it is creating some like complex feelings for you emotionally that may be hard to express at this moment. For the other half of the masculine collective that's not in union at this time, this is going to feel a little different. This is going to feel a little different because what we're seeing here is this is a blockage point. That there's a moment right now that, again, a lot of your care and attention right now is towards a representation of feminine that you see is able to embody this authenticity, this vulnerability, but this energy may be holding you at a bit of a distance. It's holding you at a bit of a distance. It's making it hard for you to be able to connect with them emotionally because this feminine energy is one that you're feeling a lot of passion and connection towards, but you feel blocked to be able to communicate with. And that is creating a point of potential frustration for you because while you see and experience and want to engage with this energy, you feel somehow emotionally blocked from actually communicating with it. So this could be feeling like more of a challenge area. So for feminine energy that is now in union, this is the same as we saw. Again, feeling a moment right now where the masculine energy around you right now might not necessarily be taking things to the serious degree that you are at this moment, but you are still allowing yourself to feel that connection. This energy is creating a space for you to feel like you are able to be your most authentic expression of self. And that's what's allowing you to channel a lot of this creative energy at this time. You're working through the emotional blockage that you're currently experiencing around this energy, recognizing it for what it is. It's a lot of emotions are on the table here as you proceed forward from this path. The masculine energy is at a point where they're feeling some anxiety and emotionally communicating. For the other half of the feminine energy right now, you're holding yourself at potentially a distance if you're not in union from the masculine energy, just trying to ascertain, yes, we can have a lot of pleasure and enjoyment right now, but can we emotionally connect? Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Four of Swords in its reversal in combination with the Temperance card, in combination with the Page of Wands. Some situations and circumstances from the past that are continuing to rise up. For some of you, this is a day of emotionality coming through. These situations and circumstances from the past are rising up on an emotional level. For some of you, this is tangibly having to deal with some energy from the past that will not go away, that continues to rise up around you right now. But we're seeing here that you're doing what you can right now to work through this. You're using it as an activation point. You are allowing it to actually make you take some action, take some degree of movement right now in terms of communication, either to address the circumstances and situations from the past that need to be addressed right now so that you can put them to bed and let them move. Or this is you taking immediate action today based on the fact that there are some emotions from the past that are rising up, but you're not letting yourself dwell in them. You're using them to give you this activation point in terms of what you're trying to communicate going forward. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with communication being the key right now to allow for choices to be made. That's what's really happening right now. So even around these past situations or circumstances that are rising up to the surface today, anything you're either feeling or experiencing right now, you're not letting yourself dwell in that. That's some of that hermit energy in its reversal, because you've decided that those feelings don't make you feel very comfortable in solitude. What we're identifying here is there could be, for those who are experiencing this on a mental or emotional level, you're discovering that when you're finding these moments of solitude, some of these situations and circumstances from the past are acting like interrupting cows in your own ability to find comfort in your own solitude. You are taking activation points right now. You are utilizing it not to sit in solitude, but you're actually just using it to communicate or trying to find some way to communicate in order for you to be able to make decisions going forward, to how to like take some action to allow you to come out of this right now. You're using this in a way, some of this frustration energy, as a point of activation to help you make better choices going forward, or to help you choose the path ahead, for both masculine and feminine energy. For the other part of the energy right now, this is a moment of you actually tangibly having to deal with something from the past that requires immediate confirmation, immediate communication, so that you can make some of these decisions going forward. But we do see here that the communication isn't the point of activation. The communication is helping you ascertain what steps to take next. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now, between our Page of Wands in combination with our Temperance card, in combination with our Star card. So it will feel different depending on whether you align to feminine or masculine energy right now. Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. For feminine energy right now, this is a moment of you really embodying your full, authentic expression of self. This is you potentially even holding yourself at a bit of a distance. The Star card can feel like a bit of a distant card. We're not seeing a lot of emotional investment right now from the feminine energy, due to the fact there's some circumstances and situations that the feminine energy is trying to get communication on right now to help them feel like they can open up their own heart space at this moment. But what we see here for feminine is utilizing a feeling right now that they can be in their most authentic expression of self, either being in a union position right now that is allowing or permitting them this degree and ability, or for those that are not in union, having your own personal confidence coming back right now that's allowing you to embody these qualities, utilizing this energy right now to have a lot of active communication, really kind of rushing forward and taking action today in spaces of communication that you may have been delaying or putting off until this moment, because feminine is in their star energy at this time. While for masculine energy right now, this is a moment that, again, we're seeing active communication potentially coming through right now, not wanting to wait, feeling some feelings of expediency, feeling like you want to seize the opportunity and moment right now around an energy that you are identifying is in their star energy. So a feminine energy that, again, if you're in union right now, you realize that they are open, they are vulnerable, they're communicative. You're seizing on that energy today to take a lot of active communication towards an energy that is open to you in this degree. For the other half of the masculine energy right now, this is trying to get in communication or working to build communication with an energy that you identify as in this star energy, feeling like you must hurry to a certain extent, that this is something that like you recognize this energy as a bit as a distance, and you may be doing a lot of work right now to build new foundations with this energy as you proceed forward from this point to help you get in better connection with them. May I please have one card to clarify? What? That is way more than one card. What am I supposed to do here? I can't draw these. We're going to take the top card. We're going to take the top card. Top card. Oh, now all the cards are messed up. King of Pentacles in its reversal. King of Pentacles in its reversal. So this is interesting. It's funny because all those cards just like exploded out when this happened. This is having a big impact on the masculine energy right now is what we're really seeing. There's something here that like the masculine energy is trying to work through right now, because as we said right now, there's something that is being identified right now with the masculine energy in this moment. For the masculine energy right now, there's a feeling of some of your own emotionality being hard to like really characterize and work through right now. We're seeing that with that Knight of Cups, that there may be seeing something that is coming to light here as it relates to the feminine energy, where again, you are working right now in union with a feminine energy in their star energy. You're trying to build that active communication, and you're trying to take this moment right now to allow this to be a point of communication. But there's something around this right now that is creating some feelings of you feeling somewhat unstable. You are trying to put a like that would be the clarification of this Three of Pentacles in its reversal. You're trying to build this stability for this moment around you and this feminine energy. That for those in union right now, You are working to a certain degree to try to build a stable environment between you and this feminine energy. You're not necessarily recognizing it there now, but you're doing a lot of active work to try to maintain that point of stability so that feminine can continue forward in this point, and you yourself can feel stable as you proceed forward in this direction. While for the masculine energy that is not in union right now, the fact that you want to communicate with this star energy right now, and you're feeling like time is of the essence, but we're also seeing here that there's something about this needing to be requiring a new communication opportunity. It's creating a lot of instability for you. It's creating a feeling of instability within yourself at this moment, because it's creating a moment of anxiety as it relates to what you want to communicate, and feeling like time is of the essence right now to communicate with this energy. And it's making you feel very unstable because you're feeling the weight of both the new communication and also the feeling of time really being important as it relates to being able to do so. For feminine energy right now, this is a moment that you yourself are going through a moment, either working right now with a masculine energy as you come into your star energy right now. You are holding yourself at a bit of distance, but you are allowing new communication. These communications, I've been saying, they're difficult right now. And also a feeling of doing things sooner rather than later to try to build this new foundation between you and this masculine energy. You may be having to work right now to give this masculine energy more of a feeling of support right now and stability, because you're recognizing that something about this circumstance or situation is making the masculine feel a little bit unstable, particularly as it might relate to their emotionality, because they may be feeling some things that they haven't necessarily felt before. So the instability could be arising from something about the circumstances or situations and the new foundation that you're building. While for the feminine energy that is not in union right now, this is feeling potentially like a bit of a difficulty point, because for feminine energy right now that is not in union, you are holding yourself to a certain degree of capacity at a distance right now from masculine energy. You are feeling like you are in your moment right now of coming into your own as it relates to your own feeling of being your most authentic expression of self. There are a lot of new communications happening potentially around you right now, even with some masculine energy. And you are taking these opportunities to communicate because you recognize that you're kind of in this zone right now where you feel like you can be your most authentic expression of self. The bigger question, you're utilizing these conversations and communications to ascertain if the masculine energy is one that will be supportive and stable of you maintaining your star energy, or if they're going to create more instability for you at this time. Because feminine energy is at a place where, again, we've been seeing a lot of judgment energy on the masculine energy to try to ascertain, can we build something solid and stable and supportive? Can we lay new foundations, or are you just going to create more of that instability that required me to come into this energy of my own solitude in the first place? The final cards for today's reading today is between our Two of Swords in combination with our King of Pentacles in its reversal. And yeah, this is going to feel a lot different depending on whether you align to feminine or masculine energy right now. Feminine energy, what have I been saying, is utilizing this moment right now. They're using the powers of communication to build their own intuition and decisions on how to act going forward, with an orientation right now towards a masculine energy. For those that are in union, feminine energy is working right now in collaboration with the masculine energy that may be expressing or showing some degree of instability at this moment. You're observing this energy right now a lot to try to decide how to move forward that's going to help this energy feel more stable and supported going forward. For the other part of the feminine collective right now, this is a moment that you are feeling a lot of masculine energy around you at this time, but you are using your powers of communication and intuition to help you understand if this energy is going to be a stabilizing force that you can go forward with at this time, or if they're just going to bring more instability towards you at this moment, thereby defining what action you're going to take as you proceed forward from this point. While for masculine energy right now, this is a moment that you may be feeling this on a much deeper personal level, feeling a lot of this personal instability at this moment. If you are in union, you're working through this a lot right now with an active feminine energy that is employing a lot of strategic thinking to help you through anything that you're currently experiencing at this time, and allowing this to be a moment that, again, you are not necessarily taking action at this moment, but you are using your best powers of reason and deduction to determine what you need to do going forward that's going to help you feel more stable from this point. Well, for the masculine energy that is not in union right now, there is a moment right now that you may be experiencing around some of the feminine energy, feeling a bit of a blockage in terms of your own ability to communicate right now, or that energy holding you at a distance. And this is creating a sense of feeling some of this internal instability at this moment. But you are doing your best to not necessarily react, but really use your own intuition to decide how to move forward in the best way possible going forward from this point. Final card for today's spread is Five of Swords. So what we're really seeing here is there's some situations that need to be discussed. There are some things that need to be addressed. There's some feelings right now for both feminine and masculine energy about some stuff that hasn't been addressed that needs to be addressed. There's something about having to go back. Like we said, a lot of going back to the drawing board energy, even for the energy that is in union right now. There's something here that I think masculine and feminine energy are both recognizing needs to be addressed, needs to be returned to, needs to be talked about. Cards like the Three of Pentacles in its reversal, the Four of Swords in its reversal. There is something that needs to be discussed in deeper detail. Even in the point, if you are in union right now, this is working on building that stronger foundation that is requiring this moment of having to return back to something to make sure that you're on the same page for masculine and feminine energy. For masculine energy, this is a lot more difficult to talk about is what we're seeing, because something about it may be creating a feeling of instability for you at this moment because there's a lot of emotionality attached. It's hard for you to articulate. For feminine energy right now, there's a moment around this right now that you are recognizing that you need to address with the masculine energy right now, so that you can come into a space of feeling like you can continue to be in your most authentic expression of self while also having the stable support of the masculine in the process. For the feminine energy that is working right now alone or unattached right now, this is a moment that you are experiencing some feelings of distrust or anxiety around the masculine energy. You're taking a lot of time to weigh the communication with the masculine energy to determine if it's just moving from their own sense of personal pleasure right now, or if they're showing a capacity of emotional connection that will allow you to feel like that energy is stable going forward. And even here, this does speak to the fact that feminine feels like there are some things that need to be addressed around what they've experienced thus far with that energy to help them feel more supportive as they continue forward from this point. While for masculine energy that is not in connection at this time, this is a moment that you yourself are feeling some point of deep instability right now, potentially around a feminine energy that you feel like you're not necessarily as in connection with, but a lot of your attention is directed to at this moment. And this is you trying to find a way to articulate how to address some of the open situations or circumstances around this energy right now, because you've clearly decided that you need to take some action because it's creating too much instability in you not to do so. Bottom of the deck on this reading right now is, are any of us surprised to see this at the bottom of the deck right now, given the cards that I've just pulled? Judgment. For both masculine and feminine energy right now, what we're really identifying is there is a lot of heavy judgment in the air. We're seeing that masculine and feminine are really kind of like leaving their feelers open and trying to make some decisions at this time. Even for the feminine and masculine energies that are in union right now, there is a moment right now that is requiring some reorientation, some rebuilding, some adjustments with this Three of Pentacles and its reversal here. It's requiring some difficult decisions to be made. For the energy that's not in union right now, for both feminine and masculine, the feminine energy is weighing and judging the masculine energy really heavily right now if it's not in union. We're seeing that. And the masculine energy is feeling that is not in union, like they need to make some big decisions, and you need to make them quickly, potentially as it relates to your connection with the feminine energy right now. So everybody is going through some deep moments of judgment, but it's hard because these judgments are very big decisions and they're feeling like a struggling point, even as you recognize that you need to make them. that is our daily collective read for today. I want to thank you guys so much for being here and experiencing it with me. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, you can book one on my website, graystrega.com. My private readings are done over video with the option of a recording sent to you afterwards. Also, please remember, if you book a private reading with me on my website, it is a two-step process. You have to book the reading and you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you hit both buttons if you would like to have that reading. Most importantly, please remember that I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a personal reading. I will never email you. I will never PM you. I will never DM you. I will never slide into your DMs and tell you that I have a very special message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my website. So please do it there. I want to thank you guys so much for sharing this reading with me today, and we will do this again tomorrow.